Well, hello. Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Jess. I have been with Unilever for 18 years, first 10 in Canada, the last 8 here, and worked in a lot of our different brands, Dove, Tresemme, hair care, beauty, but now I'm on the best friend of all, Hellmann's, leading our condiments team. So very excited to chat things all about our big game ad today.
That's great. And I think
You're not on.
hello. Oh, there we go. And so you're here because you have a commercial. Do you want to talk a little bit about the commercial and tell everyone what we're about to watch?
Absolutely. First of all, who's seen it? All right, a few of you, not all of you. Okay, this is good. So Hellmann's, this is our 5th year at the big game. So this year we wanted to make sure we could really stand out, do something a little bit more unexpected. And it started with, obviously, what every agency loves is a very clear brief. And we wanted to focus this year fully on the sandwich. It's one of the top game day dishes, also the top dish for mayonnaise. And the message we really wanted to communicate was that Hellmann's makes the sandwich. So it can take your sandwich from ordinary to extraordinary. And of course, how can we do that in a creative way for the big game? And we decided this year to really lean into nostalgia, do something really fun and creative. So what better than to reunite for the first time in 35 years, Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan to reprise their iconic roles in When Harry Met Sally, because, oh, by the way, there's that iconic deli scene in that movie too that just gave us an opportunity to bring our product through in a very authentic way.
All right, so why don't we show the ad?
I can't believe they let us back in this place.
Why?
Hello?
Nobody remembers that.
Something wrong?
It's not doing it.
No good?
Nothing.
Well, we can't have that.
Yeah.
What's happening? Oh, here we go. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, boy.
So good. It's just. Woo.
Oh,
Oh.
this one's real.
Yes. Woo.
Lunch and a show, huh? How about that?
Add that as a sandwich.
I'll have what she's having.
I'm competing with a condiment.
I mean, what an amazing ad.
You're on.
Okay, there we go. So now, how long did it take you to plan this ad?
So it's a long process. So we take probably about a month off after last year's Super Bowl, and then really start diving into it. We do always the postmortem, what really landed, what pivots we might want to make, co-create the brief with the agency, and then we kind of let the creative minds at VML get to work, our amazing agency, and really start brainstorming other ideas. And it's a long process. We often pursue a few different ideas at first, because something like this, you can tell, is very talent dependent. We could not have recreated this or done this with any other actors. So what if Meg and Billy weren't up for it? And so we had to have a couple things in the hopper. We do a lot of consumer testing, and then it runs through. We actually shot this December 10th, actually. So it was a whole thing. And then we're also planning not just the spot, but all the surround sound campaign around it too.
Wow, amazing. And as you just said, so March 5th, you're already starting to think about the Super Bowl?
Yeah, but after this weekend, we're just going to sleep for a bit. Then we'll get back into it.
And then as you just mentioned, you were looking for Meg and Billy. So talk a little bit about why you needed Meg and Billy to recreate this amazing scene.
Yeah, so this obviously such a beloved film. We knew that if we didn't have them, we couldn't recreate this. So Meg and Billy were key to recreate in the most authentic way. And also Katz. Katz is a big star of that scene in the film too, and we wanted to be as authentic as possible. So we wanted to be able to shoot at Katz We wanted to, fun facts, we shot at the exact table from the film on the exact same camera lens to really recreate it in this way that felt as authentic as possible. And we knew that if we had Meg and Billy too, there's so much more we could do with that in terms of their reunion and the buzz that would generate too.
Well, I mean, the first question we have to ask, though, were you worried at all about brand safety? It's a tad bit risky with the scene.
So we've always leaned into humor, but we know from past Super Bowls, consumers do give you a bit more permission at this type of environment to really break through and stand out. I think with this, what we always wanted to ground ourselves in, though, was this is about her reaction to an amazing sandwich. I mean, there's the term of foodgasm for a reason. Think about the best thing you've ever ate, and maybe some of the reactions or expressions you might have from that. And so I think what was important for us is to really anchor it, and that gave us a role for our brand and the reason to be there as well. But anchoring it in that, I think then creates that entertainment and enjoyment while still honoring the original scene in the best way.
I mean, you nailed it. And we talked about Meg and Billy, but what about Sydney Sweeney? You know, how does she fit into the scene? Because she wasn't even born when this movie was out. So
who's seen the film? Show of hands. Okay, this is like about on par with our research. So we found that about 95% of people had seen the film or were familiar with it and with this particular scene overall. I mean, the scene's been in so many memes recreated. And what we found was even if you didn't know it, you still really got the message, you really enjoyed it, you laughed along. But we did want to do something to bring that next generation in. And in the original film, if you remember, it was actually Rob Reiner, the director's mother, who delivered that iconic line. And so there was something that we thought about to flip that script and bring in this generation's rom-com star, Sydney Sweeney, to deliver it and just connect with that younger audience in a different way. And of course, she has some social stuff to come. I think she posted a story today that's just the start. She's obviously an incredible following, so given a way to reach another audience and engage with her fans, and she even brought really creative ideas to set on what she wanted to do. And then we also needed someone who could deliver, like this is a big line, and who could deliver with the right comedic timing. She had never met Meg and Billy before, but on set, like they established such a great rapport right away. So we were filming throughout the whole day. Then Meg and Billy kind of had a bit of break. We brought up, and it was like time to go for Sydney's line. And they came back on. They're like, no, we're gonna like cue you up and everything, so that she was genuinely responding to them. It was actually in some of those moments that we got so many more amazing reactions from Meg, because then the camera wasn't necessarily on them, but they're just really helping and establishing that kind of chemistry amongst the three of them, which was really, really great.
Well, now I'm ready for the Nora Ephron movie with all three of them in it.
I know, right?
And you mentioned how Sydney just posted on social, so I'd love to talk a little bit about how you built up the excitement around the commercial before, and I even think we have some pictures to show.
Yeah, so we knew that bringing Meg and Billy together again for the first time in 35 years would drum up a lot of buzz. And so we carefully planned out our teaser phase and built, again, kind of the surround sound around this. So this was Meg. She first posted on Instagram, you know, finally happening, we're reunited for something iconic. There was also a leaked paparazzi shot of them strolling down the streets of New York, which was clearly captured the day of our set. That was put out there as well. So all to drum up speculation. And I think for this as a brand, there's always that question, like, how much do you tease? Also, we're teasing, and Hellmann's is not part of this at all yet. So should we do that? Should we not do that? How do we tell this narrative? But we felt this was such an incredible moment, and it would lead to, I mean, true fans just like really speculate. There were Reddit threads on like, what's happening? Is it a Super Bowl? Some people guessed Super Bowl ad, yes. And some people guessed Hellmann's makes sense for this. I'm like, ooh. So we were really thrilled with obviously just the buzz and speculation, but it shows like the star power of them, the love for the film and the scene and what could possibly be happening next.
And I think we even have a little bit of the teaser that paid homage to kind of the iconic movie.
So it's 1 turkey on rye, but only if it's fresh. If it's not fresh, then on white bread, but then it's toasted. 2 whole lettuce leaves, paper-thin tomatoes, 1 sour pickle, sliced lengthwise so every bite has a bit of pickle, and some Hellmann's mayonnaise.
On the side.
On the side. You better be a good tipper, lady.
So following the speculation of what was happening, then we released that teaser. And that was different for us this year too, where typically we tease and kind of pulled from the final spot, but we saw such a great opportunity to create, like use little Easter eggs from the film and bring it more to life. And so again, if you're a fan of the film, you'll know that Sally is a very particular ordering style. You've watched this, you know what I mean, right? Yes. Apple pie, limo, whatever.
I know, the first beginning of the main scene.
And that gave us an opportunity to actually have also a lot of fun with creating this sandwich and creating the turkey sandwich. We know it had to be amazing, but how do we do it so it's not just any turkey sandwich? So even how she orders it and what exactly, like every bite has a bit of pickle, that's so Sally. And that gave us a lot of fun and creativity to make this incredible sandwich. We have the sandwich, it's called the What She's Having sandwich. We actually partnered with Cats. You can order it in time for the big game. They will ship nationwide. So that was another way for us to make sure everyone could experience this sandwich. And the other thing in the teaser, of course, that is Meg Ryan's voice. If you kind of were following the thread, and for fans, some picked up on that, some maybe not. But it brings the narrative through, because obviously when you see the initial spot, Hellmann's isn't on it yet, and she's not really enjoying her sandwich, but it was on the side, she adds it on, and therefore turned that moment into, Hellmann's hitting the spot. So it was part of the whole narrative we were telling, but being able to pick up on those moments from the film and was really incredible.
Amazing. And we talked about Meg's little gems that you've used, but what about Billy's and the iconic sweater?
Yes. So, okay, as we were planning the whole campaign this fall, Billy Crystal Core was trending, and Meg Ryan Fashion Fall, and like this cable knit sweater was getting all the rage. And so it also just speaks to, I think, how universal this film can be, and tapping into different verticals and fashion and different audiences. And so we thought, well, this obviously we have to create our own Hellmann's cable cream sweater. How could we not? And so we created our Hellmann's cream sweater so that you can, have what she's having and wear what he's wearing. And we partnered with some creators, again, in the teaser phase, and big name ones like Alex Earl, Eloise Stufka, and different verticals too, from fashion, beauty, also, of course, beauty influencers as well. But just to drum up like something's coming, what is it? And then that all culminated in this incredible event.
Amazing. And then I think, as we take a step back and think about, the movie's been out for 35 years, why tap into nostalgia now? What made you decide to do that at this time?
Yeah, so I think nostalgia is something that can always connect with different audiences, and it evokes an emotion. Like, you remember where maybe you were when you watched that film, or something resonates with you. And I think there's a term I love, nostalgia, as well. Where if nostalgia is recreating, then nostalgia is also like making it fresh and bringing it modern and reaching new audiences like Gen Z and millennials, who Gen Z maybe weren't even around when that film came out. And so that was something we really loved. And that event was a preview event for the night before we launched officially the ad. And that was also our way to bring people into it. So we held it at Katz's Deli. It was for editors, influencers. They got to sample the sandwich. They got to sit at the table for this photo moment. So they were almost being put in the ad and experiencing it and creating those memories as well. So I think it's all about, getting into culture in that way and finding different ways to connect. But I think important to do it authentically and where it makes sense. And I think we felt the role of our brand made sense through it all, given that it was rooted in the deli and a food moment, and that was so much part of her character too.
I think you kind of tapped on this, but what you did a great job. You can see how you're doing on the rankings of the best commercials of the year. And so what would you warn, or what would other marketers need to heed when doing this? And also you picked a movie, and as we saw in the beginning of this, not everyone had seen the movie, but everyone reacted wonderfully to the ad. How do you do that? How do you do that balance?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think, again, like, authenticity was key. I think for something like Super Bowl, where 124 million people watch it, you don't want to leave anyone out on the joke too. And so I think to be able to be far-reaching enough and create something that can bring along all the generations is really important. So I think, again, that was part of the strategy on Why Sydney, but also how we created the surround sound around it and bringing in creators. They're still posting now and recreating the What She's Having sandwich, and they're going to do it their way. Also bringing in other extensions. So what we love about this, because it, I think, can resonate beyond the big game time, we're actually extending this out all the way till May, which is the first time for us. And even next week, doing some fun things around Valentine's Day in partnership with Dotdash Meredith and doing a screening of When Harry Met Sally. So I think it allows us to identify all of these other moments as well and tap into what's relevant for those different audiences.
Wow. And so before we kind of go into questions, is there any last call outs you would have for any marketers that are thinking about making the big jump and doing an ad during Super Bowl?
I would say be bold and be brave. I think through this, again, this is something different that we haven't done before, and I'm really proud of it. I'm really thrilled, obviously, with the reception that it's getting. And, I remember when I first saw this idea, it's like, this is not anything new, but feel it. Do you feel something? I'm like, there's something here. There's magic in this idea. There's magic in the talent that you can bring together and create this whole ecosystem around it. And I think today, again, it goes so much beyond just the spot. What can you create around it and build the full ecosystem? So it's a bit of feel it, but also then build on it. I'll say the other thing, as this was getting momentum, we kept adding and making this idea bigger. When we saw the final spot, this deserves to be in the cinema. Around romantic comedies in February. So now we do a cinema buy. There's so many things out of home because it's cats. Well, could we pull out iconic lines from the film and create out of home pop-ups around cats so that when you're in the mindset of Cats' Deli, you see this. And so I think a great idea is easy to build and build on top of, and then not being afraid to double down on those things too and keep propelling it forward. Sometimes I think we stop ourselves too short from how big an idea can really get.
Amazing. All right, so I think now we have some time for questions. Does anyone have any questions?
I'm just curious how, when you get relevance like that from a social perspective, and it's such a hit, and you get so much conversation around the brand, how do you navigate internally with maybe the finance people at a Fortune 5? Because they're asking, what's the immediate ROI of this virality that just happened? I'm just curious how you battle those conversations or educate internally the power of upper funnel of the brand.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I will say, thankfully, we have great finance partners who've been along the Super Bowl journey for a few years now. But I think it is true, and it's balancing the funnel. So I think but also building the full funnel as well. So I think, we measure a lot on brand power and brand equity, and that is something we want to drive. So of course we need short term, but there's other tactics that we really focus on to deliver that as well. So I think it's, as we look across the full funnel, what's the role of each thing? What are we trying to drive? And making it clear the job of each thing that has to do. Not everything has to achieve the same thing, of course, and I think that helps as well.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.